Hello everybody. Today we are going to be talking about how to choose the right data visualization tool or that application or that package or that software that is going to help us to build visualizations and build our dashboards. Then the learning objective for this session is to determine the essential features that are going to inform the selection of the visualization tool. Um, that visualization is going to be useful and effective in our project or in our process. Then the first thing that we need to think about is when we are thinking about information design, when we are talking about information design, we need to understand, as we have demonstrated before, there's a highly multidisciplinary field. We need to bring a lot of people and data elements from math, statistics, graphical design, color theory, coding, psychology, neuroscience, storytelling, and we have covered most of these aspects in the previous sessions. And when we bring all that theory together, then we can take that data and represent that in a quickly and easy way. And this is a really important area of research, because how we facilitate these things, and you already have been exploring a little bit of the tools, and some of you are really engaged and finding that, oh, when I understand the theory and I have this tool, I can make this really easily. Then in that context of idea, the tools that we are going to be discussing, the data visualization tools, are these tools that are going to allow the visualization designers, the people that are building the visualization elements, facilitate their task in creating new representation of data sets um, and facilitate their activities. But you may ask yourselves, hey, but how do we do this? And that's particularly the thing that we are going to try to solve today. And things that we need to consider when we want to choose the right visualization tool is we need to have different processes, and I'm going to give you some tips and some approaches in what you can do from different perspective of different authors. Then the first thing is we need to ask the right questions. We need to take the time to create a list of what is the problem and what are the things that we need the visualization tool to do for us. Because let's say if you want to have a map, but the visualization tool doesn't facilitate your job of creating a map, and then you need to have a third party, maybe that's not the right way of going through that. The other thing is you need to understand your organization or your team and who will use the data visualization tool. Do you need to train these people, or are you the one that is going to be using that and you don't need to train, but this is going to be a gain for you? But you need to understand, yes, really, how is your team constituted, and how you're going to be approaching the project, and what are going to be the strengths and weakness of assuming a new technology. And we are going to try to look into a process that is going to facilitate that. And you need to narrow down the determinant factors in making this decision of the visualization tools. And definitely what is most important for you and your organization, and what are the tasks and those things that you want to do. And then you need to separate the non-negotiable things, the things that are mandatory, the things that nice to have, and the things that you could do without. Then these three level scale is really useful when you are evaluating functionalities in different systems. Then basically you describe the things that the users want, wish, or desire that the system has to do, and the mass the system does to do. And basically you start from that list and you qualify them. Hey, is this non-negotiable because this is the core of the business? This is by law. This is something that definitely we need to have that. Then is nice to have. If this is something that is nice to have, then we have that in second priority, and something that you can live without, and that's going to be the third priority. Why is this important? Because this is going to inform you the functionality that you are going to have, and it's going to help you to balance your resources, and then it's going to make you help you in make the decision how you are going to invest. And then if you have enough money, you incorporate the nice to have, and then if you have money and time and people, no, and the last desirable things can come at the last moment. Then definitely you need to have this functionality checklist, and you are going to be qualifying that in order to prioritize. And also you are going to look into the functionality that the visualization tool is providing you in order to how it matches the needs with the things that the tool is offering you. Then is the software easy to use? That can you connect your data easily in the way that you have it? Can you customize things to your needs and preference? And remember that we were talking about the white label, for example, how you can embed it, some of these tools within your workflow or your website or your app. And then those are things that you need to take into account before then. Yes, then there is a process of matching your needs and what the solution is providing you. Another way of thinking of the problem could be in asking questions about your data, about how you share the product, how you develop the reports, and other things. And if you see that you are going to start seeing some common topics here, then in the data, how many data sources you have? Do they all need to be available in one place? Do you need to transform the data and your visualization tool is providing you your transformation tools, or you need to do that and create a pipeline to that happen? How will the tool access that data? Then is that direct connection? Is somebody that needs to transform the things and take an Excel spreadsheet, make that a CSV and upload that to a server? And if the data set is too large, then how you are going to manage that? Or you need to do aggregations before you can import that, or the data visualization tool allows you to pivot that data and make some management, summarization, average, and things like that. Regarding sharing, do you need to have automated reports that they need to update when the data is updated? Are these reports shareable, or is going to be automatic, or just going to be available? How is the workflow? Do you want the users to export the data, or you don't want the users to export the data? And then that's something that needs to come into that functionality checklist that you need to put there in your visualization. And when you're thinking about the report development, then who is the one that is going to be reporting, creating those reports? Then how that match the capabilities? You can customize those charts in the way that you want. You want to add interactivity and filtering in the future report. Do you need to introduce some statistical features there or not? And again, how much budget is available? And you see there is a lot of questions that we can ask. And as I said before, then let's try to organize this in a format that allows to manage these questions and kind to have a logical approach in the decision making of choosing a data visualization. Then This is from other author that we basically have 5 steps of 5 things of 5 stages, and they suggest that the first one is to have a budget. And why I start from the budget? Because this is going to be a limiting factor in the decisions that you are going to be making in your project. And what is the budget about? Is basically how much time you have, how much money, and how much people you have. Yes, because if you are constrained on time, then maybe your decision is going towards something that is more ready to use and less flexible, and then you need to start having some trade-offs there, and then you need maybe to focus just in the must-have, and the wishes and desires are going to be secondary. And budget is not just about money, it's this combination. Remember that we have 3 elements in budgeting: time, quality, and price. You can have 2 of them but not the 3 of them. Then you can have something that is quick and good but is going to be expensive. You want something that is good and cheap, then it's going to take time. And you can have all these combinations regarding the budget. And if we are talking about money, then yes, we can consider some free data visualization tools like Google Data Studio, Tableau Public, and a series of free available tools that are out there. Remember, and then the money usually is not the limitation, is more the time or the complexity. And now that you have these free tools, how they match. And then you need to consider in the budget, what are your deployment options? Because depending on your IT stack and your own security preferences, you may be able to deploy that on site, or you need to use, or you may be able to use a cloud-based resource as the ones that we just mentioned. But it's something that definitely you cannot deal with, because you need to have some security, some layers in the team, something that it comes back to the budget. Okay, then how we're going to restrict that, and how we are going to deal with the access and protecting the data. As I said, price should not be the most important factor when choosing among competing options for data visualization. You may focus first in the next step, that are the goals and the functionality, and how you are able to match the functionality with the goals and the desires, and then you start doing the trade-offs. Don't go right away because sometimes the cost is not going to give you what you want, and the most important element is going to be able to solve your needs to accomplish the goals. And that's what it comes right here. Then you define your budget, you have an allocation, and then you start doing the negotiation. And the question is, what are you looking to achieve with that data visualization tools? And then you start doing the match of your needs, and that list, that prioritized list that you have of the things that you want to do, and then match it with the features of the software that or the tool that you are evaluating. Then, for example, in data visualization, you can analyze and present data in the different graphs and charts that you need. Do you need some mobile support? And then, is your visualization tool compatible with mobile devices? And remember that nowadays most of the people access data through mobile platforms. Can we have role-based access for the management? And can we regulate who has access or use of the data visualization? Is this something that we need to have there and is required? Can we have historical snapshots or create historical representation of data, because your data is dynamic in the time domain, and then you need to be able to have different snapshots and be able to create that in some way. You want to have some email reporting, for example, about updates or things like that, and reminders to the people, hey, we have a new report, we have a new visualization, come and see this. You need templates in order to be able to facilitate the building of these visualizations, and you don't need to scratch. You need to start from scratch every single time that you are going to create a new one. You need some visual analytics, and it's going to provide you some additional interactivity visual features that we have explored in order to make the analytics, and you can do filtering, narrowing, drilling down, other types of interactions. Can you have some filtering for those users in order to advance that exploration? Can you have some visual pivoting or use pivot tables for looking data in different domains and dimensions? Can you support the visual discovery to find pattern sequences, outliers, things like that, in the way that you're presenting and playing with the data? Is the visualization tool giving you some data cleaning features like filtering out missing values, or re-coding some values, or automatizing some processes like geolocalization or things like that? And definitely be able to support collaboration and team features, things that you need to think. Is this a project that is centered just in the data manager, or is this a project that requires people to come together, and how you are going to manage that, and how you limit the access to the different roles of the organization? Ideally, the software should include live updating, comments, and case sharing, and even a sandbox, even for testing the visualization even before you release them, when you are working in collaborative environments, because you may create some policies in homogenization of the visualizations, but somebody needs to be to review them before releasing them. Then there are some things that you need to consider, and in that domain, the security measures that you need to put into there. If you are collaborating, or you have layers of access, and what are the vulnerabilities that you have there? Are you tool letting people get access to some data that maybe not be there and was not meant to be public? Then you need to be sure that the tool is not going to put the data in danger, or be a reason that of concern if things are going to be exposed, or then you are going to be in some regulation violation or things like that. Then you need to think, hey, what kind of security measures the software is providing you in order to keep that data safe. And as you see, then those goals are really around, hey, what is the problem that I have, and what is my data, what is my team, and how we are organized, and this is more from the organization point of view. Then now you start doing those match. What the visualization tool is giving me, what do I need, and what are my limitations in budget. But third, no less, who is the user, okay? And that's going to be really important, because what is the skill level of the creators that are going to be using that visualization tool? Because if not, you need to put into place into the budget the training of the people and the learning curve that you are going to have there, or because again, that's going to be the trade-off. And here, when we are talking about the end users, are the end users of the visualization, the the visualization tool, the visualization building, the visualization design tool, the thing that we are using to create the visualizations. Not the end user, the one that is going to be using the visuals, because that's a different layer to consider. But first is that one that is going to be creating things. What are the skills? Who are there? How you are going to close the gap between the visualization tool and your users. And at the end, sometimes the decision is the best software is the one that I know how to use. And then you have your budget and you have your goals, and you are really good in your software, then you can optimize that. But you have a budget, you have your goals, and now you change the software and you don't know how to use it. You are adding time, you are adding workload, and we are having a challenge there in the delivery of the delivery of our desire or solution, and it's going to be against the budget, it's going to be against the goals. Then this is really important. Skills level is an assessment. A skill level is key here, because if you need to teach people how to use the visualization tool, then you need to account that in your budget, and you need to adjust your goals in that regards. Then data, we have mentioned some of the things about the data. And again, yes, where is the data coming from? What is the type of sophistication you need in data visualization, in your reports, into your dashboards, and how the software, this tool is really supporting you to be able to create that. And then, for example, if you use Google Data Studio, it's going to integrate seamlessly with Google products, but maybe you are going to be able to streamline your operation if you are using the Google Suite. But if your data is not in a Google Suite but is in Microsoft, maybe you need to go in a different directions like Power BI or things like that. And this is something that is linked. Yes, where is the data coming from, or what are the features that your solution is giving you in order to connect your data with your visualization tool. And last but not least is scalability, how you can grow this. Then if the things are easy to use and they're user friendly, then you need less technical reviews. And if you want to scale things and grow in the future, then having more data connectivity, not just narrow ways of bringing data, is desirable. You want to have some flexibility there if you are anticipated that you are growing, because remember, you started with a budget and a goal, and the budget is going to limit your goals, but you have a list of things that you want to grow. And if you already thinking ahead, and then you are going to be looking for additional ways of making that list grow and be complete, then you need to foresee that scalability and that in the future of your tools. Then having multiple type of visualization is really important. And then in this case, that's going to also influence, are you going to have a desktop based data visualization tool, or are you going to have a cloud based data visualization tool? Because if you have a desktop based, then like Power BI or Tableau, they have also cloud versions. You have some possibilities of working unplugged. Maybe that's something that you want, and that's creating some layers of security. That's some option. But yeah, or if you want everything to be in the cloud, then you need to be really sensitive in what is the data that you are dealing. And sometimes the decision of having a desktop based data visualization or an in-house internet is based on the nature of the data. And that's something that you need to think. And scaling in desktop base that are not connected or shared is harder than scaling something that is accessible or shareable. Then you need to account for those designs and functionality in the future. But now this is the process, the 5 things that. But additional questions. What is the best for me, no? And you have this plan, you have this process, and I mentioned that you need to do this matching feature. That's basically this question of how to choose and how to do that match. Then you need to be able to differentiate between presentation and exploratory graphics. Then presentation graphics may give you no hint on how to a result was achieved, but they are going to be convincing about a conclusion. And exploratory graphics are those that are used for looking for results. Then yes, then what type of visualization are you looking? Are you looking for presentation and just flat things there and they are going to be nice and finalized, or you want to create exploratory graphics that you want to present the process or allow the interactivity? That's going to define part of the tools that you want to look into or the features that you want to look into a visualization tool. And remember that the form of the visualization, it needs to follow the function. And that visualization is going to depend in the question that you want to try to ask. Again, we go back to the goals, the properties of your data, and how you want to present and communicate your insights. What is the language and the way that you want to do that? Then a design recommendation is to draw. Just mock up your visualization tool before you choose a tool. And this is something that we explore in the system design class. Mockupping is really important because it's better to have an idea how it's going to work, test that with your users, and that's going to be your guide in the decision making process. Because in that way, when you have the mockup and you test this with your end users of the visualization, not from the end user of the visualization tool, then you can say, oh, these are the types of representation that I have to be able to create. And then you go back and, oh, in the options that I have, which ones are going to support that output? And again, we go this in that negotiation and in that triangle of the budget and goals and the users and the data, and just where we are going to make some compromise. But this is going to help you also to classify that the must have, the nice to have, and the things that you can live without. Okay, but this is really important that even before writing the first line of code, doing the first import, you do a mockup and have an idea, goal, a representation where you want to go, and that's going to be really helpful. And you want to choose tools that are going to maximize clarity. And there is a maximum of quantity. Basically, we want to be informative without giving overwhelming amounts of extraneous detail. You want to be of high quality, that you need to be truthful, no? The maximum of relationship, it has to be relevant. The data that you are linking has to be relevant, and you need to be in topic. Remember that we discussed that in previous sessions, how extraneous data or quoting things out of context is not appropriate. A manner has to be clear, don't be ambiguous and be orderly. You have to have that order. And then yes, we go to the mockup that is basically how we create those tools before. You already have some elements, and then play with that and evaluate that with the users and receive feedback, and go from there. You need to choose tools that can make your data more meaningful, that allows you to have meaningful formats and the way of highlighting that. And at the end, the purpose of the information that you want to create is the one that is going to create help with the format. And remember that we have explored a lot of representations, and there are multi-dimensions that you can do that. You want to look for tools that have intuitive dashboards, that you don't have to deal with digging or trying to find the data, but you can have multiple displays and can handle that easily. But that can create that clarity. And remember that we started introducing some of those visual concepts when you are creating the dashboards in the previous sessions, and incorporate those elements that are able to make things appealing, easy to use, and to communicate. Remember that funnel approach, that you have the most important data and the big conclusion at the beginning, then the supporting and explaining data, and then you can drill down to more detail, and that's going to facilitate that way of thinking. Then again, you need to balance functionality and needs, and it's not only about the needs of the analysts and the technical requirements, but yes, the user, the training schedule. You need to add more elements into your technical architecture. And then I have mentioned before the pipelines of the data. You need to do some transformation. You need to write some kind of software to integrate your data, transform, clean it, and put that. Then that's something really important to do. And ideally, you want to choose tools that are able to handle multiple data sources and integrate them in an elegant way. You don't want to do that outside. It's better to have that integrated, or you have a streamlined process that is integrating your data, and that's going to be useful. You also want to look for features like animation and dynamic data, and we have supported why. And again, it goes back to your goal. Are you going to be doing just mere information presentation, or you're doing exploration of information? And then when we are considering advanced tools versus simple static graphs, remember that the difference is you have dynamic data, you can do visual querying, you can link multi-dimensional visualization, you have animation, you can personalize your reviews, and you have some kind of actionable alerts. You can act on the recommendations. Going back to the users of the tools and to that budget, you need to consider definitely the expertise of your team and how you will integrate the tools. How are they easy to use? How are easy to integrate? What are the costs of the software? How are operation? Which people you need to bring on board? What are the required technical expertise? You have a policy in data access, and who is going to have access to the data, how you are going to manage those permissions, how is the data going to prepare, what is the time that you have to deploy, and at the end, this is going to inform your budget. We are putting this, but remember that then you need to start doing trade-offs from the beginning. You want to choose tools with streaming support, especially when you have fast-paced metrics. And remember that you don't want to overwhelm the users with or the system with with a high frequency of data querying when it's not needed. But you need to find that balance. How fast you really want to update your data and have that in mind. Is this something that is possible? Can you have just near online data and is something that is really necessary, or how is going to be that process? What is the type of change? How is going to be updated, and how you are going to stream that change? You need to give the visualization and the data itself equal priority, and this is basically using the data as the evidence to support your message. Your message is true, the visualization, but that data needs to be curated, needs to be created in some way that you want to create a visualization that is telling stories. And we go back to those functionalities that through those characteristics that we have explored in previous talks. Then you want to combine information, function, form as a story, and definitely that's the way that we enhance our products. You want to focus on the takeaways of the users and put that in your designs in order to have better comprehension. And this is basically borrowing from that recommendation where we have explored about storytelling, about design, about visualization, about our human cognition, and how we approach in that funnel that you basically starts from the big conclusion, some explaining things, and the supporting. And if you are in an action-based element, then you have the summary implications of the results and the recommendation for action, for example. And what is the next step? Remember, you don't need to show everything because you can always, in the dynamic exploration, just drill down and query that data on demand. And in that way, the data visualization is going to make that access equitable in some way. And at the end, this is something to consider, that yes, this is the way that you are going to support decision making. And the other thing, make sure that you understand your own data. Understanding the data means understand what the data means, what the data is telling, and check that calculations are correct. We have mentioned this before, and it's really easy to slip there in the calculation, then double check, and that the things that you are trying to say, they make sense and you are not misleading. You want to communicate to the audience the key conclusion, and then you need to be able to bring that key conclusion. You need to take time to explain the chart elements to the audience. Not everybody knows what you were thinking when you were designing that. That's why we have labels. That's why we have some comments. We can have tests that are describing things, and it's when the storytelling abilities come into place as well. And you want to focus on the takeaway in the conclusion that you want to have there, but what is the message that you want them to take home? And you want to take time to set up your tools for better utility. Then always think, is the data helping you make decisions? What questions do the stakeholders need to be answered from the data? Do I need this data to make the decision? If not, may not belong in the dashboard. What type of graphics is the best data? And for this, remember, you go back to the user, just mock up the things, and it's going to help you and close that cycle that we have taught. Then a summary, yes, there is a process in choosing visualization tools. You want to know what are your resources for the project. Then you define your goals and your functionality. Then you study your users. You understand the data processing and how the data is going to be handled, and you need to know what is going to be the future. And once you have this list, then you start comparing your different visualization tools and you can score them. You can create a spreadsheet, a decision making tool or something like that, and then you give scores for costs, people that are required, technical requirements, things like that goes into the budget for every single tool, and then you give weights. Goals, what are your goals? Are they going to be achievable or not? And of course, those tools that are not going to be supporting your goals, they are going to be weighted lower, and the ones that are going to help you with the goals are going to have a higher weight. But you have your users. Do my users know how to use that tool? Then yes, then that scores higher. No, then that's going to be a score low, because that goes back that I need to train them and I need to modify that on my budget. Data, how is the data? Is a streamlined process? Do I need to put other systems? Then it's going to modify my infrastructure, is going to modify my users, is going to cost me more, or is something that I can just streamline with the things that I already have, that I already have in the inventory that I did in my budget. And scalability, what is going to be my future and how I can grow with the tool. That's basically the way of thinking and the summarize. Then thank you for your attention. Today was kind of a short one, but this is going to be for sure food for thought and key elements that are going to help you to think about the decision of choosing a visualization tool. We need to face this as a project, and we need to be serious on that. And it's not just the cost, it's not just this is free, or this is the one that I know how to use. Maybe sometimes it's really important to invest a little bit in learning a new one, because at the end you are going to be having a best match with your goals, and then you are at the end optimizing your resources. And here are some interesting resources, some of the ones that we use in this presentation, and some other publications. Thank you very much for your attention, and then until the next time, have a wonderful